G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another exciting installment of your favorite piss take, banter, semi-educational podcast. I don't even know what criteria we come into. Science and comedy. Science and piss take.
No idea.
Bullshit and banter and some education.
Sounds like
anyway,
us.
Welcome back to episode close to 100, joined by my usual co-host. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad this week. Apologies, guys and girls, for last week. I was a bit under the weather, and when I say under the weather, I genuinely couldn't form a sentence without coughing up blood, which was great.
My check-in video sounded like he had smoked about 40 packs of cigarettes that day.
And that was on a good day. My Thursday check-ins didn't get their check-in until Sunday because I'm like, I physically can't talk without coughing and actually.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, dude, you could have waited 2 days. I wouldn't have cared.
Well, the guys that I messaged, that I sent to them on Sunday. Yeah, I sent it to them on Sunday, and they're like, "Dude, why are you sending a check-in? Like, don't even worry about it." I'm like, "Nah." I go, I'm still gonna do your check-in. I'm just like, I can't physically talk. Like, my actual ability to take air in and then convert it is gone to shit. I'm gonna have to start going like a plant and just use photosynthesis and fuck it, just stand outside in the sun. give me half a chance, like, for fuck's sake. But yeah, today actually I don't feel too bad. I trained this morning, which was nice. Got a little pump. It's always fun. Out of my cut, thank fuck.
With more food.
Yeah, it was perfect because it's like I was supposed to deload last week, and which I did one. I had one session left because of the check-in processes on a Friday. I had one session left for my 7-day span, and it was legs. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll go send it. And yeah, I think that's what tipped me over. I think I had been sick or had gotten the virus or whatever, the infection, but I hadn't sort of incubated and got in there. And then as soon as I trained legs and just crashed because it was a big leg session, I was like, fuck. Here we go. Bottomed out for like 10 days. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's how you train legs, guys and girls. That's the new criteria.
That's it.
Did you do sickness the week later?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll train legs last night. I went train peak time in the gym again. Like, fuck, I haven't been to Doldy's in years, like 10, 15 years, I reckon, when it's been peak time. And I was like, fuck, this is.
Oh, that was a bad choice.
Well, luckily I thought if I go at night, I'm gonna wear my pants. I'm not gonna do compounds. I'm just gonna do some blood volume work. Really, I'm just gonna put some blood in there, see how we go. Leave it at that. It was literally lying ham curl, leg extension, calf raise, adductors. I'm like, done. 2 sets, done. Get out. A little bit of a sweat, nothing crazy. A little bit of blood in there, we're good. And I felt fine today, so I'm like, beautiful. Went and trained upper and smashed an upper session this morning, which was good.
Nice. How do you do that?
Yeah, I got so much volume in my delts and my lats. It's crazy. This next block is like, yeah, we'll just do delt focus. I'm like, you've got 18 sets of pecs in there, bro. It's like 18 delts, 18 pec, 18 or 16 lat. I'm like,
Jesus.
Like, bruh, what are we doing here?
It's just an all over upper focus.
I'm like, dude, I know I still see small legs. I want more legs. Quads is 4 sets. I'm like, watch me grow on 4 sets, bro. Challenge accepted.
Pulls down to 2. That's like fucking rowing. I got that cut on 10 working sets for both muscle groups, and it's just they're still jacked. I'm like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, literally, I'm pretty sure I'm on either 4 or 6 working sets of quads. I'm like, yeah, watch me grow.
Fuck that. Here's me fucking etching out every fucking inch of quad I can possibly get on every set I need possible. I just take the premise to my training now that I'm the least responder possible, and I just send it. And that's
literally that was me. Remember ages ago, I used to say that all the time. I'm like, I just don't respond, and I don't know what it is. Something changed. I don't know if it was post hospital with my pancreas issues, and then changing maybe the way I train a little bit, and probably just getting a bit more knowledgeable in my ability to train. But something something changed, and now like everything grows. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just a late
Huh.
bloomer. Call me Samson.
Mate, I told you. I told you. I'm fucking. I'll be the 37-year-old white version of Samson coming into the Olympia. It's funny because everyone calls him like the young gun. Like, oh,
Yeah,
these new guys coming up. I'm like, the dude's nearly
like 30,
40.
yeah, like 38.
Yeah, he's a late bloomer, but he's got the top.
I got 3 years. Let's do this. Just message Joe, bro. Send it.
Yeah, I need to be Olympia worthy in 3 years. Go.
Don't worry about my pancreas. Fuck it. Cut
Yeah,
it out.
yeah.
Don't
That's
need
the
it.
guy. Fuck that little guy. I wouldn't worry about this little guy.
I mean, but anyway, well, how's Queensland been going? Good.
Hey, things are good. Things are very good. What do we got? We got the passports all sorted now, so that actually, in government institutions, like I was telling you in a message, instead of just saying your passport is available for collection, they have a variety of terms they use for the status of your passport update, and it's like processing. Uh, I don't even know what the dispatch one is, but it says issued, right? In my
Yeah.
head, because I'm picking it up from the departments, like the department in Brisbane,
Mm.
issued to me is like it's been issued to there to be collected and like so it's going to be going through travel and it says when it's issued allow 6 weeks travel time or whatever to collect it, and so I've gone by that and it's like we'll notify you with an email to say come collect your what's it your passport. I was like cool. Turns out that was the email. It says issued. It doesn't say come collect or collectible or is available for collection. It just says issued. And so I'm like, this was done on the 2nd of May, and I'm being like, fuck, it's getting close to travel time. Like, I gotta start planning this. And I called them up. I'm like, hey, just see what the fucking status is. And they're like, yep, it's available. And I was like, thanks, bro. That's sick. They literally tell you you'll receive a text message and an email separately to say it's available. Nah, that was
Welcome
the email I
to
got. So I was like,
welcome to
good
the
shit.
government. Welcome to the government.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's I mean, fucking one less thing to stress about, but it's sorted. So now I just lodged the e-visa with America, booked some tickets, and we're good to go. Then I've actually got to start putting together a 45-minute presentation
Yeah, let's go.
for
The fun part.
500 people that I have never spoken to before.
And we'll never speak to again.
Hopefully not, I guess. Sign up to everything, guys. Log in, give us all your details. But yeah, no, so that's all good. That's taken care of. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Coming up to the end of uni, which is good for the semester. So I've got an assignment due in 2 days. Then I've got exam block 3 weeks after that, and then there's a bit of a layover gap in there, which is nice. It'll be a pretty much just an all work focused block. Get more templates done. Get more of get the presentation finished. Get some of the more coursework finished off. Kind of decided with how busy we got that the coaching course will probably get pushed back to like next year's Christmas break and just have that ready to go by then. Obviously, there'll be like a backlog of proof that I actually know what I'm talking about, given the results we get, and that's how I will educate people to do it. So we'll have that ready to go probably towards the end of the year instead. Just things just got too busy. Yeah, no, training's going fucking unreal. Like I put up a few transformations, even from like it's funny what people don't see is doable in a matter of like months versus what they think it has to take like years and years, which is why they don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For 4.5 months of just continued aggression and food, and my back looks like they're two different people.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, it was crazy, right? Like you look at that and be like, that's not the same person in a matter of like 4 months.
No, but and as we know, each progression will always, yield a better result. Like we
Yeah.
know that each prep is going to hopefully, in theory, yield a better result, and we know that each off season thereafter should yield better results. So then obviously you bounce off into the next prep. So it was just taking advantage of, I guess, what we could at the time. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, hold on, we're in a pretty good position here. Like let's just feel it and go for it. And now it's like, okay, we felt it. Let's send it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking excited for it.
Yeah. The send is going to be fun.
Yeah, that's the part to me where I was like, and I put it into the for everyone that is following along, like there is so much content on YouTube now. Like you'd be dumb if you're a coach not to go watch it just because I answer so many fucking questions. Um, but like one of the points that I talked about at the start of I think the last training vlog we did was like this is week 27 of a training block. The only changes we've made have been like order preference of hamstrings and lateral delts, and then I think outside of that it was changing rep ranges from 8
Yeah,
to 12 to 10 to 15.
sets and reps. Yeah, we changed a bit.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
literally like exercise selection, amount of exercises, total working load. Like the only things progressing are just the basics of load or reps.
Yeah.
That's it
Well,
for 27 weeks. That's literally over half a year.
when you get guys like JP from England turning around and saying, "Yeah, I do the same exercise for like 8 months," I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if he does it and he's fucking huge,
Yeah.
like, must be something to it.
Well, like like as you kind of said, just touched on there. There's the even as you go, a good training athlete will always recognize you can be slightly better. And so, even across this block, as we talked about previously, where I've cut down on load, I come to the end of a meso and then come back to the meso. And like this felt a little bit heavier than I wanted to, which means I was getting less of a contraction because I didn't quite feel it as nicely. Strip back the load, start again with better technique. So when I catch up to that load next time, it's going to be more precise where I want to feel it. And we're starting to see that with where parts are inserting, the width of my back, the thickness, the overall shape to it, the insertions, like everything's getting nicer and fuller, even in the points that I go to places I don't see it, but I know is there. I'm looking at my legs. I'm starting to see adductors now in places, or like actual adduction and abductors that just weren't there previously,
Yeah.
filling in the gaps in my legs. Like those things are all coming from now where I prioritize movement with a purpose and actual like execution versus just moving the weight. And that's been
Yeah.
such a big shift in this training block where I'm like going away from, not going away from like, I was training fucking hard previously, but I was also looking at the number. Whereas now
Yeah.
I'm looking at the number plus execution.
And this is, I have this conversation a lot with people that I train with, and it's like trying to understand and like logbook training is awesome. I fucking
Mm-hmm.
love logbook training. However, when you get fixated on the
Mm-hmm.
number, we start to see some of the variables change. And usually that variable is technique, right?
Yeah.
And we know that the actual quality of the rep ends up changing if you, especially when you're at the top end trying to chase one more rep. When you're an intermediate to an advanced trainee, like if you get one rep as a progression, like it's a huge win. And it's like,
Yeah.
but what are you doing to get that one rep? Are you speeding it up? Are you throwing more body weight into it? Are you doing
Mm-hmm.
using momentum? Like then it changes. So it's like we're trying to keep everything the same and then force progression. And then
Mm-hmm.
we can start to play with, like double progression systems and stuff like that, which is, something further down the track. But yeah, so many people don't understand that sometimes cleaning up your technique and having a standardized tech for each
Mm-hmm.
exercise is going to be more beneficial long term, because then as you progress, provided the technique stays the same, that is a true 1 rep, 2 rep progression or whatever it is that you took,
Yeah.
or half a plate if you just did the same reps and that sort of shit. So it does show on the body. It shows. And that's what we do as a coach, right? All I'm looking at is like gaps. What
Yeah.
gaps can I fill? Like,
Yeah.
how do I fill that gap? How do I fill
Yeah.
that gap? That's all I'm looking at when I look at a physique.
That's why, we see, like I see with like clients will leave a note or a message or feedback in their training log, even on the app now when you can fill in like when you fill in feedback, and it'll be like review your training session, and they might put like modified form but had to cut back on weight, so you notice a weight drop. I'm like, yeah, good. Like if we're looking at this, where I've suggested to slow things down or reset at the top of the lift, or one of my guys I was working on how to shift the load back with their hamstrings when they do an RDLs because they were feeling it all in their erectors. And I was like, all right, cool. When we look at this, though, you're shifting the load back onto your heels, not staying over your toes. So you're not really maximizing the stretch position of the hammy, and then you're trying to extend through the spine, which is not what we want out of an RDL. It's not a correct hinge. So when we're doing those things, I'm like, of course, once you isolate the correct muscle group to the like we're isolating mechanical tension where we want it, you're going to see a reduction in load because now you're not getting like compensation from other muscle groups to help. It's literally just that muscle group we want to work, right? And so you start to see that cut back in volume. But I'm like, but what we're seeing now is when you progress from here, that's going to be true volume progression because you've gone from, let's say it's a 100 kilo RDL, but you're also getting extensor work, you're also getting glute work, you're also getting hamstring work, and then you might be jerking it. Okay, that 100 kilos isn't really isolated in your hamstring and your glutes when you contract properly.
Exactly.
If we've changed that technique and now you cut down to 60 or 75, it's lighter, but now that 75 is directly through your posterior chain properly.
Yeah, you're actually consciously trying to target and use specific muscle groups to move said weight,
Exactly.
and hence
And
the
so
mind
that's
muscle
something
connection.
that just really been prioritizing and making sure that the way I train is I I swear by RARs and I always encourage people to try and learn how to operate within that range, but when I'm in the gym and it's just fucking, grunt and cuss and it's fun, like if I've got an extra rep in the tank, I want to fucking take it. If that means a 5-second rep to get the come out, well, it's a 5-second rep.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there will be times where sometimes you just want to go in and just move some fucking weight. Like for me, it's like I don't barbell row that much anymore. Like I haven't for a while. So I found in my programming, I don't actually program it that much, which is it's still a great exercise. And it used to be one of my favorites, to be honest. It's like every now and then, like I'll switch out, whatever my main back pull, my main pull movement is, usually like a seated row, chest supported row. And I might just switch it for a barbell row just to see how many plates I can still move. It's like, fuck. Of course, because it's fun. Like, that's still there, but it's, again, time specific. Like, I can do that in an off season or in a growth phase because it's probably not as important, that one session, that one exercise for that 2 sets. But, like, fuck it. I'm going to send it because I'm going to have some fun. Yeah, I'm going to throw it around a little bit, but how often do you do it? Like, not often. So it's like, I'm still going to keep the stimulus from my previous back workout. It's not like I'm going to regress. And then I'm just going to progress to the next session. But it was worth it because I wanted to have some fun.
Exactly. Sometimes sometimes like an interesting point to consider, right? Is that yes, we have to work with optimal for programming. We want to look at optimal, but sometimes you just got to make sure the programming is enjoyable. You enjoy wanting to train or going into the session. Like that's also a variable in programming. When I see people talk about like one of my guys, he is honestly just fucking loves being bro. He's like, I don't want to hear you push pull leg shit. I just want to have fucking chest day, back day, arm day. I'm like, cool. Well, if I want you to specify volume, I'll just give you 2 back days, or I'll give you 2 chest days, or I'll give you fucking an extra hamstring exercise here somewhere. And he's like, yeah, I can compromise with that. I'm like, cool, we can work with that. He just goes in and just wants to fucking send those days. I'm like, sweet, I can work with that. But, I had someone sort of say, I've worked with guys similar with him in the past, and he's really hard to work with. And I was like, they're not, though, because you're going to get the same shit out of them. They're going to go in and send it. And you just got to modify and make their program enjoyable, but also get the same thing we want. So as long as he's enjoying it and he's happy with, might be, it's still the same premise, push, pull, legs, push, but it's chest day, fucking back day, leg day, rest, push, back.
Yeah.
It's the same premise, but with terminology that he prefers. Yeah. And then I've included the things I want out of it. So, certain set markers or whatever. And then he goes in and fucks it up. So it's just like he's still having fun. He gets to send it, and I get what I want out of the volume.
Well, that's just it. You're both getting what you want.
Exactly. Like that's not hard to work with. To me, that's fucking easy.
Yeah, and I agree. But we have an interesting talking topic today.
Ah, yes.
Ben's
crackety crack. Nah. So I saw. Look, we can play devil's advocate both sides, and I know what route I'm going to take, but we'll open up the conversational point anyway. So I've seen some content recently that suggests, due to health guidelines and accountability as coaches and the association of body image issues and self-esteem and self-worth, that coaches should not market body transformation results or compositional changes or client results from before and afters. We shouldn't post them. We shouldn't, share them and put them on our pages, etc. Because there's a degree of responsibility we have around what we share. And this is in line with Meta trying to force content to be basically like you can't pay now to market fat loss, weight loss, body transformation.
Which has been a while.
It's been like that for a while. Yeah. But on top of that, which is already established, I've seen content that as coaches, we shouldn't share body compositional transformations on our pages. And it irked me for a couple of reasons. You would not tell a mechanic not to market what type of auto mechanics they do. You would not tell a builder not to market what type of building construction does. Does he do formwork? Is it high rise? Is he residential? Is it industrial?
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell a Sparky to not talk about what type of electrical wiring he does. To insinuate that a coach shouldn't share the result they get in a physique-based, like let's say of the field of fitness and coaching.
Yeah.
I am body compositional and high performance oriented. That's what my business, our business is. I work with elite people and I push towards people becoming greater at what they do, becoming more proficient, working on life skills to improve that. psychological skills, but the optimal outcome for most of my clients on stage is obviously body composition. My performance clients, if their body composition changes, great, but as long as they're progressing in life,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So we're marketing towards the prep athlete. The my little resume of achievement is the compositional change of the people that I've worked with.
Well,
So
it's
it's
the goal of the
literally
client.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally having to, like, in order for you to know what I'm capable of and to back me and trust my word and know that my system works, you're going to look for medals, you're going to look for placings, you're going to look for client results and before and afters. Now, to me, saying don't do that and speak more generally to people and you'll open up your degree of audience to talk and work with. I don't want to do that. I'm narrowing in my niche of who I work with because my language and my coaching style and my system doesn't suit everyone. So why the fuck would I diverse myself and spread thin my energy and my language and specificity to try and work with more general people because I shouldn't market body image transformations or compositional change because it might trigger some things for people. At what point is it also on the viewers accountability to be responsible for what they look for or what they look at? If you don't want to see body composition change, you perhaps shouldn't follow my
Well,
content.
yeah, and I think that that's exactly it, right? It's like, what is it also about the body composition change or that transformation photo that bothers you so much? Because that sounds more like a you problem than it does a me
Yes.
problem, right? Especially in a world where like we have the ability to follow and unfollow whoever the hell we want. So
Yeah.
it's like, and like a lot of us like coaches, we don't just obviously promote body comp change. We promote a lot of educational stuff, and as well as like your page, for example, like both your Matter and your own page. Like it's not just body comp, right? There's a lot of
Exactly.
other stuff that goes on, and it could be that people are following for that, and that's what they want to see. But they'd also need to understand that it's going to come with the occasional body comp story or post because
Yeah.
that's part of the business and part of what you do. So it's like
Yeah. Exactly.
to say that someone can't do something or shouldn't do something really sounds like a them problem for me. Like if
Yeah.
someone came to me and said, you really shouldn't do this, if they haven't got a very valid point,
Yeah.
I think I'd just be like, okay, thank you for your input. Thank you for your advice.
Yeah.
I'll take it on board. And then I'll talk about it on the podcast and run you through the ground. No, like, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, I can understand wanting to protect a certain type of person from that because obviously there are people that obviously have issues when it
Yeah. By
comes
all
to
means.
saying, yeah, and it's a very valid thing and it's not discrediting that. Um, but then I guess devil's advocate to that, don't have social media.
Yeah, exactly. Because and literally my social psychology subject, like we studied social comparison theory. We studied up and down social comparison ladders. We studied how where people put themselves in the range of comparison when it comes to whether someone is above them for a better position or whether they compare themselves to people lower. Now, when someone's good about something, we tend to see like if someone's richer than me but has a worse physique, they'll compare themselves to me on finance and be like, I'm better than this person, but they'll then compare themselves below me on my appearance and say that's unfair or that's gifted to them. So it makes them basically rationalize the feeling of insecurity or the potential risk of that if I'm interpreting the data correctly. So we have what's called like social comparison theory. People tend to do that. So if if you're looking at the aspect of me that works hard and does everything that I do and I live and breathe this stuff, I make that known. I share that information. I'm very outspoken on how much I give to this to make it possible so that I can look a certain way when I do get on stage. If you're not willing to do that stuff or it isn't for you or that's not how you want to go about it, fantastic. It becomes an illogical preposition then that I should equate for that in my content based on your perception of how that works. So to then be like, well, I'm triggered by the fact that, I don't know, I've got low self worth or poor body image issues and that sort of thing. Following a bodybuilding type page or a high performance page that is going to directly speak to people about the consistency, the intensity of things, how hard you work, putting the effort and making sacrifices. If you don't want to do that stuff, I'd probably advise against comparing yourself to a page of people that do. It's an illogical comparison to then derive your sense of body image and self worth from.
Yeah, like I said, really at the end of the day, it's a you problem. Like,
Yeah.
and as harsh as that can be, it's like, well, you need to obviously sort your own shit out to be able to understand that you having a problem with looking at someone else's material content,
Yeah.
um, promoting, especially when as a coach, usually you're not only promoting the client's transformation as like I guess a business ploy. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're promoting because you're just fucking proud the person did the work. And it's like
Yeah.
they,
Business
yeah,
boys.
like I went through a phase, I went through a phase where clients would be like, "Why don't you put me on your Instagram?" And I'm like, "You need to fucking earn it." Like, I don't just put any of my clients. I've got a lot of clients. I get a lot of training videos. I get a lot of obviously
Mhm.
weekly check-in photos. Like, I get it. I don't post much, especially now. But there was a patch of time where it was like, "Hey, I will promote you and put you on there when I deem it worthy of being on there."
Yeah.
And then it just became a running joke. Like clients just getting sooky, like, "Oh, why don't you put me on Instagram? Why do you favor this person or that person?" It's like it's got nothing to do with that, like at all. But it's like, you know, you look through my Instagram and there's a mixture of it. Look through your Instagram, there's a mixture of it. Most
Mhm.
coaches will have a mixture of content where it's client training, client transformations, our own training, and then our educational content.
Yep.
Like if you have a problem with that as a viewer, well, it's pretty simple. Unfollow. And if that's still a problem for you, just delete your account.
Yeah.
Like, don't get on social media if comparisons are going to kill your joy.
Literally, like it's a weird sense of like it's a degree of entitlement to a point where your your emotional problems, psychological problems, must be projected on how other people have to consider the world. And I get the like a similar comparison, knowing full well we are very much in an obesity epidemic. There is a lot of health concerns around obesity at the moment. There are like the rate of obesity is increasing. That would be the equivalent of saying, I'm obese, Hungry Jack's, Macca's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, none of you are ever allowed to market again
Well, yeah.
because that makes me feel like I want to eat food. Like that to me is the same premise you're asking, but that's not being asked of anyone. But my business is derived from providing people the very result that they come to me for and ask for and push them to a level they didn't expect that they could ever achieve. And on the side note of that, if you read the stories of my client content, you will see that I often often write or scribe the process of progression and improvement, both physiologically and psychologically, that they go through to achieve that look. So I'm not emphasizing the physical appearance. I often probably write, or more often than not, that the physical appearance is a byproduct of the psychological and life development that we got in place to allow the physique composition to occur. That being like, stress management, life management, time management, nutritional preparation, sacrifices, goal setting properly, working out what you actually align with in your values. When those things are in place, generally body compositional change occurs with the nutrition and training strategies. You'll often find me share content that emphasizes that more than the body composition itself. But I'm not going to not be proud of my clients for the fucking sick work they do because I'm
100%.
like, oh, this person over here in fucking in England or America is going to be triggered by the fact that we said this person's improved their life with body composition.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, and then the people that are, I guess, saying this, like, what is their view or why? Like, what's their problem? Like, why is it such a bad thing? Like, how does that benefit them?
Yeah, well,
That yeah, which is I guess the ploy to that, right? It's like depending on the person that's saying it. If the person that's saying it is one of the like I guess a victim of, maybe we'll call it, for whatever you want to deem the person, like fair enough. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. Obviously, just stop following people. But if
mhm.
you're a coach or if you're an educator, an influencer saying this stuff, well, why? What's this to you? Like, how does it benefit you as a person? Because obviously, your view is to your benefit.
Mhm.
Like, you're saying this and coming out with this because obviously you're leading a type of market or a market, like a target market, in towards your whatever it is that you do
Type
to
of
make money.
educational coaching.
Yeah, whatever you do
Yeah.
to make money.
So
Oh,
why are
okay.
you allowed to market that?
Yeah. So convenient that you
Yeah.
can market this. I'm
Yeah.
not allowed to market that. Like
Yeah.
that's not fair. That's it's being a bit of a
Yeah.
juxtaposition right there.
I have to consider your position and your positional statement around what isn't okay or shouldn't be shared or should we share it, but you're not considering ours. And this is, I guess, it even comes like I guess like twofold in the sense that I'm sick of this idea, and I put a story about it the other day. I'm sick of this idea that fucking it's wrong to have a body compositional goal. Or like there is some like there's become this there's become this taboo to actually want to just openly say, I want to improve my physique. And it's like, no, you have to perhaps work on your acceptance or mindfulness first, or be positive about your body. And that doesn't mean you can have body composition goals. If you're proud of who you are and how you are, you wouldn't want to change that.
Yeah.
This weird notion then that because of that, I can't market clients. I can't market to more people that want to improve their physique or get on stage or get a result or improve their life, build a better mindset or mentality.
Well, it's like by that definition, then if you can't promote body compositional change, then how are you supposed to coach and make money in the business that you do? So what does that mean? Every coach that coaches physique change, whether it be from the gen pop level to the professional level or the elite level, so does that mean we all have to shut up business and just stop?
Yeah. You
Because
just
you
have to
come
use word of mouth and hope that people
yeah,
are happy with the result.
yeah, like if we can't post it and promote it, like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
just curious, like, well, what do we do? Like, how do we
Yeah.
get clients in that want to compete if we want to coach competitors?
And the thing is, most of our system, like the old adage of like the 12-week prep, is so far gone now. Most of our system, realistically, like, and this is the way, like, I use it as almost like a checklist. Is I'll go through a period of time with a client with like micro behavioral change, lifestyle interventions, and strategies. Because, and I've talked about this on the STC podcast, we've talked about this on here 100 times. The the prep of a person should never be a drastic, like, high degree change of life or like operation. It should be fourth to fifth gear. It's simply just shifting up in intensity already of the behaviors you're engaging in and nailing. So, like, before I take the approval for someone to prep, I'm making sure that all the micro basics are being ticked off. Their positive self-worth, their positive language. They're like, we've got to a point where they're reflecting on their week with some sort of gratitude and journaling. Things are progressing nicely. All that stuff is in place. So that prep is an emphasis on the life they're already living, not some drastic change. So that takes a period of time. I need to market that to people that, hey, to get like alongside this physical result that you want to get, there's also going to be this period of time where we do this. So it's not a 12-week challenge. It's not a 6-week challenge. It's not a fucking, rapid cut phase that gets you on stage. There is a longitudinal response that requires work over time to make sure your life is set up to not only get to stage, but improve your life along with it. And if I'm not able to share that or discuss that, well, I'm literally, doing the things that these coaches encourage, if you will, educators or fucking lifestyle. Okay, what do you want to call them?
Yeah.
We're already doing those things. We're doing those things that they suggest. But on top of that, saying it's okay to want to improve your fucking body composition because it is a goal to have. I'm thinking like it gets to a point where we dig into it with like, well, this person said she wanted to drop 10% body fat and be fuckable again and like wear this lingerie for her husband. That's disgusting because he should love her how she is or she should love him for how he is. And that's great. Maybe they should. But you know what? People still want to be fucking hot and people still want to have sex with someone they're attracted to. And people still want to be intimate with their partner, feeling more confident and sexual.
Yeah.
Do you know what comes from that? Feeling fucking good about yourself or improving body composition and being like, I want to look like that. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking, or you just want to get on fucking stage, or at the beach, you want to have a fucking six pack. I can be just as body positive about myself with a six pack as I am in my off season. That's not for you to decide or tell me that is or isn't correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds very Lizzo.
Yes. Yes. That, right there. Yeah, 100%.
That's what we're going to title this episode. Sounds very Lizzo.
Yep, honestly. Like the ability to force me to perceive body positivity or body acceptance or physique acceptance only from the premise of you have to look this way.
We're not doing that this episode. We'll be here for another 3 hours.
That's fair.
Yeah, not this. I need at least 6 shots of coffee to get into that conversation. At least. I've only had 4. I need at least another 4 and probably another meal before we get to that point.
That's fair. That is fair.
Body positivity.
Well, not even so much body positivity, but
we'll be here all fucking day.
Tie it back to what we're talking about. It is like you can still be psychologically and motivationally driven to be accepting and positive with yourself and happy about how you are and still want to improve your physique. That's the little premise that I'm sick of not seeing, that it's almost like taboo to say. The two aren't mutually exclusive. They exist as like a dichotomy. It's not. No. You can have both, and it's not for you to tell me otherwise. It's not for you to tell me that doesn't exist. If you're a coach or educator pushing those things that, you need to find acceptance and positivity and happiness in your self-worth outside of your physique, great. But you know what else? You're also allowed to want to improve your physique.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's funny, like we would joke a lot about like body dysmorphia as like, being in like a bodybuilding style lifestyle where it's like we're always trying to chase perfection, knowing we will never hit perfection and that we're always going to be fat. But it's
Yeah,
like I can honestly say, like when I went to Bali, I was sitting there with the old man. I'm just like, this is probably the best I've looked being
yeah,
away. Like
yeah,
I'm pretty fucking happy with how I look. Don't get me wrong, I want to look better.
yeah.
But this is the happiest I've been, or the happiest I've been with my look, especially being overseas.
Yes,
Like it's like that you're allowed to say that. But it's exactly as you're saying. It's like I'm happy and accepting where I am, but I do know that I want to improve for me.
exactly.
Like
Why
doesn't
is it
mean I'm
bad thing?
unhappy.
That's
Yeah,
like saying,
doesn't mean I'm unhappy. I'm pretty fucking
yeah,
happy right now. Like I'm, yeah,
it's the premise of me being like, well, I'm happy financially where I am as a business and a company now because, if I look back 2 years ago and where I was, I'm nowhere near this. So I'm happy with where I am, but that is by no means saying that I don't want to be better or increase the level of the company or improve my standing or, do more things out internationally in the world and make a difference. Like I can still want both of those. I can still have that level of satisfaction, if you will, and push to want to be better. I can be accepting and I can still want to progress.
exactly.
Man,
Fifty
look at the
100%.
wisdom coming off this podcast lately. Chasing perfection but never getting it. Be
Mate,
content, be satisfied, but
there's a
still want to
lot.
progress.
There's a lot of bumper stickers to be fucking drawn
Mate,
from this.
we need to start fucking bumper stickers,
You
t-shirts.
put them on t-shirts, walking around. Why am I never good enough?
Yep,
I mean, because you'll never be good enough, because
that is
that's
correct.
how this
And you know
works.
what? That's okay.
You can chase perfection and never be perfect. It's okay.
Exactly.
Questions?
Yeah.
All right. Now, would you rather be able to speak to all animals or speak 10 different languages?
Ooh.
It's a good question. I like the idea of speaking 10 different languages, but at the same time, I love animals.
Yeah.
Can I speak to half the animals and speak 5 languages?
Oof.
Like, can we change it?
Hmm.
I'll probably go speak to all animals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even all animals. I'll just be able to speak to dogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll take speak to all animals because then I don't have to talk to people.
Yeah, that's fucking. I mean, if I could sit there and talk with a shark and be like, "Hey, bro, go buy this guy." Just start calling him
Yeah,
a bitch.
yeah. See that dude over
Yeah.
there?
Hey, great
Jack.
white. That guy called you a bitch.
Yeah, he
See that
said
guy looks like
something.
a turtle on his surfboard? Yeah, go buy him.
He said that dude said something about your mama.
Yeah. Just fucking sit there and talk with like my fucking big American staffy that mum has. Like, bruh,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Like,
How you doing?
what's up?
What's up?
What have I got here? Bikini is bodybuilding. Discuss.
Bikini is bodybuilding.
Yes.
We've covered this before. So there's two different definitions depending on the context of the use of the word bodybuilding. So bodybuilding is a division within the sport of physical development called like the physical sport known as bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a division. So when you refer to like a bikini girl being a bodybuilder, no, there are very different leagues and criteria, even for women's bodybuilding. There is a whole another level of drug use, body composition, muscle mass requirement, body fat levels, the degree of intensity towards how those things are achieved. Like it's a different realm. It's essentially two different sports. It's like saying, like, I don't even know. There's no way to compare it. There's just two different sports. But a bikini girl is still building her body to look a certain way on stage.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
Yeah. I still go with the lifestyle.
Yeah, they're still
Like
they're living the
it's a
bodybuilder
lifestyle.
lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It's like
Yeah,
it's a dieting thing. It's a
yeah.
training thing. It's doing your cardio when
You're,
you don't
you're
want to.
striving. Yeah, you're doing these
Yeah.
actions to strive towards achieving a certain outcome with your physique.
Yeah.
But if you're using the context of like a bikini girl is no different to a bodybuilder, I'm going to challenge you and say a bikini girl is very different from a bodybuilder.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, what was I going to say? There was another question here. That was a good one. PEDs and their effect on digestive processes, if any. So, when it comes to oral PEDs, there is definitely an effect on digestion. Usually, it blunts appetite. Most, I guess, common orals are methylated, so they've got a little compound, we'll call it, a little chemical procedure done to it.
Mhm.
Is it 3 hydrogens and something from memory? A carbon and 3 hydrogens from memory
Mhm.
get attached, and it changes, or so in theory it changes its thing that it does once it's ingested. Really, it's just to get past stomach acid, and to get past like a whole stack of digestive things that happen, that break down obviously things that you ingest, right? So with this like with this methylation occurring on the drug, it manages to get through further into your system and then disperse and do what it does. The problem is it's a really bad toxic thing to do. So
Mhm.
the actual process that it goes through is toxic, and you can only do that for so long without, I mean, we're trying to, you know, withdraw from side effects. Um, doesn't always happen. So some people are very unlucky and they take it for a week and they get side effects. Again, devil's always in the dosage and obviously the length of time that you take something. That being an oral PED. There are a couple that don't have that problem. Proviron. You can take pretty much year round. It's just an oral DHT. But
Mhm.
I'm not saying do that. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, most orals will have an effect on digestion. First being blunt appetite, and then from there, it can cause a few little chaotic things in the stomach purely because it is the breakdown of a toxic compound, really.
Mhm.
I think that's all I have from memory.
I got. Would you rather have ants crawling all over you constantly or always having spiders in your toilet bowl?
Ants on you constantly or spiders in your toilet bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, probably spiders in the toilet bowl.
Yeah, because I mean, like you can get like for daddy long legs something's in the toilet bowl. I'm not caring.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you can also like pee. Well, you pee standing up, so like you're
Yeah,
good.
that's fine.
Like it's just scary probably to look at. And then if you take a dump, just hover.
Yeah. Or
Like you
just
don't
flush
need
the
to.
toilet before you do it.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm going on the premise that they're just always there.
They're just always going to be there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, even if you flush, they're still there. But it's like, yeah. Hmm. I wouldn't want ants on me all the time. That'd just be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, like listening to the Bro Chat podcast, like Ian Hovershits. I don't know how the fuck he does that, but like,
Yeah, they do weird shit. They like stand up when they clean their
yeah,
asses. Like
I don't know
really.
how Americans go to the fucking
Uh,
bathroom, but
yeah.
they talk about hover shitting. That to
Yeah.
me is weird.
Their water spins the other way. It doesn't count.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm going.
I got. So, oh, you go. What you got?
No, I was gonna say I'm going spiders and toilet.
Yeah, I got. When programming for hypertrophy, do you use a mix of machines and free weights?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm the same. It will just depend on like person, training, age, what they
Hmm.
have access to, the usual stuff, and also what they like. Because
Yeah.
if they're married to a specific movement that you can include in a
Hmm.
program, then why not include it? And I've got a few clients that are like that. They love the hypertrophy stuff, but they're like, I love barbell squatting. It's like, okay, let's barbell squat.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it for a cycle, and we'll just cycle it in and out when need be.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same way. Like I'll probably uh forever permanently hack squat now versus back squat, just with the way my spine is and stuff. There's just certain movements that I just know machines provide a level of stability that I won't get elsewhere to get that same level of load and isolation. So it's just safe for me to do so, and I can fucking send it. But at the same time, there are some movements where I'm like, I just really want a a barbell or a dumbbell in my hand or something to just fucking send it. Incline benches, dumbbell benches, shoulder presses, like stuff like that, where I can just swap that in pretty easily. I'll usually enjoy it. But yeah, like this weird notion that if we're doing strength, it's only dumbbells or barbells. If we're doing hypertrophy, it's got to be machine based. Fucking why? Like use it. They're all tools to your availability. Depends on the client, what's available, what phase they're in, the training age. Can they connect properly? Do they know how to stabilize properly? Can they actually load correctly? All that jazz. But I mean, they're all tools to be used depending on the person, right?
Yeah, it's always like, do they have the ability to do this thing on their own? Because we're doing online coaching, right? We're not necessarily doing in-person coaching. So we need to
Mm-hmm.
provide a program that's deemed as safe as possible for the client while still achieving or helping achieve their goals. So, if you need to remove free weights for a period of time, dumbbells and barbells,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you can explain that to the client, and the client understands where you're coming from. Sometimes the clients will turn around and be like, hey, that's cool. I'll go get like a PT session, down at the gym with so and so, and just tell me what you want me to go through. And it's like, sweet. I've had that a few times where I've
Yeah.
been able to go to a client, just go, hey, go to this person, do like a 5-session pack or whatever, and just go through squat, bench, and dead.
Yeah.
It's like, sweet, because they're interstate or whatever it is. And obviously, it'd be stupid of me as a coach to say I can teach you via online. Like,
Yeah.
I could probably teach you some things, but it's like
Yeah.
you get a 3D fucking view or 360 view in person. It's going to make life 10 times easier, especially from
Yeah.
someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like if you know somebody as well in your network that you can refer to and be like, hey, by the way, go see this dude. He's going to look after you. Or go see this girl. She's going to look after you. I know that this person's not going to try and poach you for starters. They're just going to be like, hey, do this, this, and this. Sweet. Like, done. And then, okay, I can program them in for you. Now we can keep an eye on it. Like, it's stupid of me as a coach to think that I can do everything because I can't.
Yes.
Especially online. Like, what are you talking about?
Especially if clients like I have to work on clients how they send videos for training footage. I'm like, I need to. I'm not just looking at this for like your rep count. I'm looking at this from feet up. How did you set up? If it's like an incline dumbbell press, a bench press, a barbell, whatever. How did you set these things? So I need a good angle of all this stuff over several sets.
That's exactly right.
Appetite suppression during prep. When is it beneficial and not?
From the start. No, I'm joking.
Take everything, shut it down forever. Like, it depends on the degree of aggression of suppression. Like when they were talking about fucking hell, what's the GPL?
The magnitude.
Yeah, the fucking agonist shutdown.
Yeah,
shut down. Its whole premise is an aggressive response of appetite suppression. It's literally just preventing food going in and whatever else it does. But the whole idea is that it almost, at a certain degree, for most people, initiates nausea.
Yeah.
That the issue they found with the muscle loss is not because it's a muscle wasting compound. It's because people were struggling to consume their enough protein during their dietary phase that was supposed to lose the weight, and therefore they wasted muscle protein in the attempt to lose weight. We know that happens. So to a degree, yes, you want to shut down some appetite, but at the same time, not so much that you're not able to get in your meals.
Yeah, well, in a lot of weight loss studies, I think people probably forget that they don't account for muscle. I think most of us in our field not wanting to lose muscle, and in these weight loss studies, it's global weight that they lose, so both fat and muscle.
Yeah.
So it's something pretty simple but overlooked a lot of the time. So like, oh, they lost 6 kilos, but yeah, a lot of that was tissue, and it's like you said, because they hadn't accounted for the intake of energy or the intake of protein to help account for muscle wastage.
Yeah. So, I mean, during a prep, there's tools and strategies towards the back end of things. Like, we look at like 5-HTP, we look at certain caffeines and stimulants, we look at certain compounds, things that will help shut down the pathway for hunger. You look at like focal drugs that will work, like modafinil or Ritalin and stuff like that will work on the fact that that level of stimulant is also going to work counterintuitively against hunger. We just have to look at the stress axis and the way that causes these regulations or these shutdowns. The increase in epinephrine, the increase in cortisol is going to decrease your appetite levels. It's going to force your body to not focus on food. The majority of stimulants are just HPA responding systems, like the way that's going to work, the way it stimulates adrenaline, the way it stimulates caffeine response. That is then going to increase cortisol, which is then going to shut down your craving, your hunger signals.
Yeah.
Is it going to work 100%? No, but it will work to a degree that way. That's why most people that take all these stimulants, they take all these compounds, they get that sort of shutdown effect.
Yeah, that's why like most of the time the biggest sort of suppressant that I guess the general pop will use is caffeine. You just use a bit of coffee in the morning, usually blunts your appetite. You don't usually want to eat for a little bit. Probably don't notice it. It's probably a big thing too. A lot of people don't notice that they don't eat from their first coffee to their first meal. But yeah, if you want to check it out, don't have your first coffee, see what time you eat, and have your coffee the next day and then see what time you eat. 9 times out of 10, it's a couple of hours difference. The other thing is you can start to play with like nicotine and stuff like that. But
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But we won't get into that conversation.
It's one of my favorite tricks. We won't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly right.
And even just food strategies, giving yourself a food window. Like this is where people get on the fucking BS like arguments of intermittent fasting. It's just a time frame
it's a feeding window. It's nothing special.
if you get accustomed to that and all of a sudden your body's adjusting to the fact you're only eating for 8 hours and you're getting in your 4 meals across that period.
Literally what I do when I diet. It makes my life
Exactly.
10 times easier. It's just like push my first meal out as long as I can, finish my
Yep.
last meal by a certain time. For me, in my head, it's like digestive reasons so that I have full digestion when I weigh in the next morning till I
Yeah.
justify it.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
true
that's
true weight doesn't change.
exactly. And in fucking, in a prep, those tools start to help you. Start looking at things like larger volumes of fibrous foods, like more salad and stuff like that, large amounts of like charisma potato, just for slower digestion, more starch, carbohydrates, and fiber. Those things will help fill you for longer periods of time, make sure you're fed and full for training. But yeah, there's a certain point in time where if you were to shut down appetite too much, even getting in your protein would become hard, and then therefore you would waste muscle tissue, not fat.
Yep, exactly right.
So be cautious of that. Last one I had was muscle sparing during fasted cardio when glycogen stores are already low, i.e., 4 weeks out.
Muscle sparing when glycogen stores are low.
Mhm. I guess like how do we?
What's the question?
Yeah. Okay. How do?
How to
How?
spare muscle when glycogen stores are low? Are we talking about a natty or an enhanced prep?
Well, do you know what it
So,
does?
so yeah, I mean, enhance is pretty obvious. You're on drugs. You're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
up
More
your dose.
drugs.
Yeah, up your dose. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
um,
That'll be a test.
yeah, now, as a natural, like that is the biggest concern, right? Is
Mhm.
muscle wastage and muscle sparing, and having the ability to retain muscle through acute bouts of dieting. When you get into 4 weeks out, it's like you probably, if you're getting to a point at 4 weeks out and your muscle is starting to waste, depending on how you've gone about it, you've probably fucked up somewhere earlier on in the prep and then just set yourself up for a really shit time. The
Mhm.
other thing is if you're 4 weeks out and you're like, fuck, I'm still fat, and then you start to try and really dig really hard, and then you start to risk muscle wastage as well. One, protein obviously being as high as it needs to be. So, you know, probably for a natty that deep into a prep, depending on how lean we're talking, like if we're talking like, lean inside out peeled,
Mhm.
you're probably looking at a good 2.5
Yeah.
gram per kilo, 2.6. Like I've seen higher, but I
Mhm.
haven't seen any change between those that have done 2.5 to like 3.5. I know some
Yeah.
people that have done 4 grams per kilo. Like again, when you think about it, it sounds like a lot, but then the person's like 70 kilos and you're like, yeah, okay, it's really not that bad. It's like
Yeah.
not even 300 grams of protein. You're like, okay, that's not too bad. But relative, right, to the person. Um, that in itself is going to also offset quite a bit of muscle sparing, because then we have this beautiful process of gluconeogenesis where it's going to
Mhm.
start to actually break down proteins, use it as glycogen to help fuel your workouts and get you through your cardio and all that sort of shit. We don't want to rely on that. Obviously, that's for the back
Yeah.
end of prep, but that is a good reason to have protein relatively high. Um, you know, Short of that, and making sure that your training is still heavy, you're still pushing as close to failure as possible, to retain as much tissue as possible is definitely going to be a way to go about it. In a prep or in a cut, even not even necessarily just a prep, you are going to lose non-contractile protein.
Mhm.
These are proteins or muscle that don't really do anything, and your
Mhm.
body's first thing that it's going to do is going to be like, well, we don't need this, fuck it off, and it fucks it off, because it doesn't need to use it for energy, right? And then muscle that you have left over tends to be, I guess, the true showy looking muscles, and it's why a lot of the time you usually one or two ways. As you're dieting down, you go through that like skinny fat phase where you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I look real shit right now. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? And then you get to like your leanest point, and then you do like a little bit of a pump, and you're like, okay, how do I look bigger now than I did in my growth phase?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's because your body's transitioned from losing all this non-contractile protein and then gone, okay, well, this is the actual muscle you do have. Like, here we are. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, enhanced, easy, take drugs, you'd be fine.
Mhm.
I haven't seen anyone really go into like that muscle waste. Okay, I've seen two people go into muscle wastage, coming into prep or like the back end of prep, and they'll tell you it's because they're stupid, and decided to do stupid shit that they weren't meant to do. Um, but yeah, and as a natty, it's just like keeping your protein high, making sure that your training for both natural and enhanced is still quite intense and quite
Mhm.
heavy. That'd be a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. Not much to add to that. That is all I got.
Beautiful. Well, let's wrap it up there. That was a good one. Always fun. Don't think we have anything we need to discuss. Coming out.
We're just about to release our free goal setting content, which will be coming out soon on the website, which is basically going to be just getting more people to set proper fucking goals, and it's free to download. So why not do it and just actually, learn to fill out a goal setting template or spreadsheet properly. That's coming out. We released last week. Yeah, actually this week. Last week. Released last week. We didn't have this episode, that's right. We released last week our free article location on the website. So make sure you jump on that. If you're any coach or educator or you're getting into coaching, it is going to be it's a research evidence-based report of articles, or like a position of articles, but it's going to be written in a way that's a lot more digestible and understandable versus trying to read the literature yourself in a lot of ways. It's basically like taking points and premises of psychology, physiology, nutrition. We'll probably eventually inevitably get into PEDs, but for now it's like that sort of premise. And just taking the complexity of research writing that I fucking hate and simplifying it into more understandable article research pieces. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to that. It's literally free. I think it's just like an email and a login, and you get access to it. So
Beautiful.
why not?
Research reviews. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so that's free. That's about it at the moment.
Beautiful. Well, that is it from us. Have a great weekend, peoples. And as always, if you need us, message us when we drop the question box on a Wednesday morning.
Correct.
Goodbye.
See you guys.